What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with some Toronto Maple Leaf trade rumors, this time as a goaltender edition. This article was written by Luke Fox of Sportsnet. He listed 8 goaltenders that the Leafs could go after before the NHL trade deadline, and I'm going to be giving my thoughts on this, so make sure to subscribe if you're new. Lots of trade rumor videos will be coming up as we get towards the February, I believe, 25th NHL trade deadline. I've got a bunch of other rumor videos right now if you want to check them out as well. So yeah, let's get started. So one thing I want to bring up is, of course, at the time I'm recording this, Freddie Andersen is out with a neck injury, and he is, of course, the starting goaltender, and he's had some pretty good numbers at times this season, and you'd much rather have him in the crease, and going forward it will be his crease. Now, Michael Hutchinson, a lot of people are down on him. I do not believe that he is the best option for the Maple Leafs, but he's won his last 4 starts. A lot of people look at his appearances where he's come in relief after Freddie Andersen is pulled or injured. I don't think people really understand how tough it is to come in after having no preparation, essentially, to come into a game cold. I've done it before. Lots of people, I'm sure, have that have played the game. It's not easy, especially at an NHL level. Like, I mean, that just, the magnitude goes up by like 80%. Like, it's insane. So Hutchinson's been absolutely, like, really good in his last 4 starts. So hopefully he can keep that going, and that kind of softens the blow for the Maple Leafs, but I'm sure that they're still looking at the market. So let's take a look. The first one that was recommended was Jack Campbell of the Los Angeles Kings, of course, a part of a team that's not doing so hot this year. They've got Jonathan Quick, of course, as their starting goaltender, but he's not playing so well either, and they're not going to be trading him. It's pretty much impossible. They also have Cal Peterson that's knocking on the door as a really good goaltending prospects. Now, here's the thing. We're going to look at his numbers. His cap hit's really good. I believe it's under $700,000. So yeah, it's $700,000 this year, $675,000, but then it goes up to $1.6 million for the 2020-21 season and the 21-22 season. So that's something to look out for. I'm not sure if the Leafs would be interested in having that cap hit. It's a little expensive for them. But for this year, it makes sense, and maybe they move on from him next year, or they keep him if they can clear out some space for him, which, if you look at their cap situation, they could have room for that contract next year. It could also get buried in the minors, essentially, as well, if they really wanted to. But 2.85 goals against average this year with a .900 save percentage, and he's played in 20 games. So he's had a decent season. He's keeping the goals against pretty low. His save percentage is decent, so that could be a decent option for the Leafs. I said decent way too many times, but that could be an option for the Maple Leafs. I'm not sure if the Leafs would want to go after a goalie right now. That would require maybe a little bit too much in the coming years on their contract. We'll have to see. I think they want a cheap option right now, but who knows? We're just discussing here. We don't know what the Leafs are really thinking. And of course, this next goaltender has been one that's been polarized by Leaf fans for a long time, and that's Alexander Georgiev. Now, here's the thing. Georgiev is part of a trio of Rangers goaltenders right now, and it looks like he's the guy that is expendable for them at this point. They're obviously not trading Shesterkin, and they're not trading Lundqvist. So, one thing that my friend Downtown Stephen Brown brought up in a video, and Jeff Fietz also brought this up on Twitter before, if you look at goaltenders and their trades in the past few years, a roster player hasn't been given up for a backup goaltender. Now, I know a lot of Rangers fans want Kasperi Kapanen or Andreas Johnsson plus. I don't think that the Leafs are interested in that at all. They're not willing to give up forward depth for a backup goaltender. You're basically giving up money for a lottery ticket. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I think that if they started with a package of a high pick, probably a second, plus Bracco, plus another player that can slide into their bottom 6 as well, that kind of makes sense to me. I don't see why the Leafs would be giving up the farm for a lottery ticket. Georgiev is a great goaltender. Some people, to me, seem to think he's a top 3 goaltender prospect. He isn't. You just have to look it up. But his numbers are pretty decent this season. Right now, he's sporting a 3.12 goals against average and a .909 save percentage. So his goals against average has gone up a little bit, and he's played in 24 games played. So he's not exactly putting up amazing numbers, but the Rangers aren't also that great of a team. So keep that in mind. But we'll move on here to Casey DeSmith. Now, if I'm not mistaken, DeSmith's numbers in the AHL haven't been that great as of late, But Tristan Jarry and Matt Murray are the goaltenders I believe that the Penguins are going forward with. Jarry's probably going to end up being their starter because I think Murray's kind of fell off a little bit here. But DeSmith right now has a $1.25 million cap hit through the 2021-22 season, so that's something to look out for as well. He's 28 years old. Right now he's got a .266 and a .917 in the NHL, so not too bad. And of course, 2.66 is his goals against average. The .917 is his save percentage, of course. You guys know that. And he's got 4 shutouts this year in 50 games played. So DeSmith, that's his NHL career numbers, my bad. But he has pretty decent career numbers, and I think this year we'll have to take a look. Yeah, 2.75 goals against average so far. Actually, no, has he not even played in a game this year? Okay, no, sorry, those are his career numbers. But he has looked good at the NHL level, and we'll have to see if the Leafs are interested in him. It had been kicked around before that the Leafs could acquire DeSmith or Jarry, but those rumors have kind of fell off a little bit. Now, here's a goaltender that could be an option for the Maple Leafs that I'm actually kind of interested in, and that's Arendelle from the San Jose Sharks. Now, he's a guy that I believe he's an upcoming UFA. He's got a $1.9 million cap hit, and if you convince the Sharks to eat some of that salary, it'll fit much better into the Leafs salary cap situation, or they make this a bigger deal and try to send off a cap hit over to their, especially if they're able to get in another defenseman, if they can somehow make this a bigger deal to include CC in a deal, to dump him off there and give the Sharks a couple picks because they've given up a bit of picks recently to Ottawa and other teams. But Arendelle right now would be a good option. Right now, in this season, 25 games played, 2.74 goals against average, and a .913 save percentage. Those numbers are pretty solid. His NHL career, 2.66 goals against average, and a .911 save percentage. So I'd be really interested. Oh, he's from Airdrie. Shout out to Audie. That's pretty cool. But anyways, Arendelle would be a good option. Of course, with Martin Jones in their crease, that he hasn't been very good. Like, let's be honest. So I'm not positive the Sharks would want to make this move, especially because they don't want to see that pick that they gave up to Ottawa become a lottery pick, which with the injuries they have with Couture and Hurdle, it's looking like it could get to there. But Dell is a very interesting option. Now, there's 2 options here put together because it's from the Blackhawks. That's Crawford and Leonard, of course, the tandem from the Blackhawks. They haven't been too bad. Right now, Stan Bowman hasn't declared if he's a seller or a buyer come the NHL trade deadline. But if we look at their numbers, I honestly don't think that this is a possibility, especially Crawford, because I think his cap hit is kind of high. Yeah, $6 million cap hit. Leonard has a $5 million cap hit, but you can probably get money eaten there, or you can send money the other way, because this would probably have to be a decent contract. Now, I believe that they're both coming up to unrestricted free agency. So I don't know. It's Crawford has a 10 team in which he's willing to accept a trade. Leonard doesn't have that luxury. And the as it says at the bottom of this article, you only get one of these guys really if Anderson ends up on LTIR, which knock on wood, we hope he doesn't. But just for the sake of it, if we're looking at numbers, Crawford in 27 games played has a 2.91 goals against average and a .912 save percentage. So pretty decent numbers, better than the Leafs' backup numbers, of course. And then Leonard has been incredible, 2.86, .922 save percentage in 29 games played. In a perfect world, you have Anderson and Leonard go into the playoffs. You look pretty good just in case one of them isn't playing so hot you can play the other one. But it's kind of unrealistic unless the Leafs are able to make this a bigger deal and send salary the other way, or Anderson, knock on wood, ends up on LTIR. Now, this one, I'm not really too fond of this trade. Craig Anderson, 10-team, he has a 10-team yes trade list. He's in the final year of a deal that pays him $4.75 million, so they would definitely have to eat salary. He's 38 years old, and his numbers aren't fantastic, but Ottawa isn't that great either. In 24 games played, he has a 3.19 goals against average and a .901 save percentage. So Anderson, again, you know, it'd be the Anderson tandem, spelled differently, S-E-N and S-O-N. It'd be kind of funny, but this, to me, doesn't seem like an option. And then the last one, Ryan Miller, he doesn't want to move from the Ducks. He also apparently doesn't want to play for a Canadian team. So I don't really feel like his trade option, it makes a ton of sense. He's 39. His numbers are still pretty good, 2.86 goals against average and a .912 save percentage. But like I said, I just don't believe he'd want to come to Toronto, and he's made it clear that he doesn't want to get traded. So Miller, Anderson, Leonard, and Crawford, I don't think that those are real options. Arendelle, Georgiev, and DeSmith, and Campbell, all those guys could be options. If I was to pick one realistically, I would really like to take a shot at Dell. And then, of course, you have the lottery ticket in Georgiev, hoping that he turns into a potential starter, because then the Leafs goaltending depth turns into having Georgiev. When Anderson's done, you have Georgiev, you have Wool, and you have Scott. So those are all really good options. But again, let me know down below, who are the Leafs going to acquire? Are they going to acquire anybody? Are you comfortable with Hutchinson going forward? He has won his last 4 appearances in terms of starts. So again, make sure to subscribe. More rumor videos coming. And I appreciate you guys as always. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video or stream. Peace.